Hey gamers, Varanice here with the new January 12th auto chess patch notes. Let's get into it. Dualplot is being added to the game. He is a 5 gold legendary Panda Martialist. His skill is an absolute wall of text, so I'm going to try to simplify it as best as I can. Candle Shade has 2 components, a passive and an active. The passive gains a stack every time one of your pandas casts their skill. The active deals magic damage to nearby enemies and gives Dualplot a physical damage shield based on how many enemies that it hits. If he has 4 stacks, he rushes to the farthest tile and deals magic damage. If he has 8 stacks, he summons rosary beads that slow enemy attack speed, and he teleports back into the fight, dealing magic damage. Dualplot's skill seems rather complicated, so it's hard for me to fully grasp it without seeing it in action yet. It's clear to me that it rewards having a lot of pandas in play that are casting a lot of spells, though. I'll be going over some rough ideas I have for new panda builds later on in the video. Martialist is being adjusted to account for the new Martialist unit. The shared non-lethal pure damage will instead be applied over 5 seconds instead of instantly. 3 Martialist also gains the effect of clearing the pure damage after defeating enemies. I believe this means after it eliminates a unit. Martialist synergy has never really been relevant. I think the damage over time change is kind of interesting, but the big thing here is definitely being able to completely avoid that damage altogether. That in combination with the availability of the easy skill resets on kill for pandas seems pretty good to me. Panda's proc chance is being increased by 5% at both 1 panda and 2 panda. 3 panda is being replaced by 4 panda. And 4 panda has a 30% proc chance and an additional 20% proc chance to gain a Dualplot specifically. This is the highest proc chance that pandas have ever had in the history of the game. I'm very concerned that this is going to make panda high rolls way too consistent in combination with the other changes in this patch, also increasing the general strength of pandas even further. If you've made it this far into the video, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Next we've got the buffs. Sixagursis is having the zombie timer increased by half a second. Sixagursis was clearly over-nerfed in the previous patch, so I think giving it the extra zombie timer is probably pretty reasonable. 4 Beast and 6 Beast are both gaining 10% additional bonus attack damage. 6 Beast currently sees no play, so I think this change might help create some interesting ideas for builds to splash Beast in. Emberblade's skill attack point is being reduced by 0.3 seconds. I think this is referring to how long it takes for the first hit of his skill to land from the start of his spellcast. But in general, I think this is a pretty minor change and shouldn't matter too much. Thundertrace's skill is gaining 10, 15, and 25 magic damage. Thundertrace is already an incredibly strong unit, and 2-star Thundertrace with a single mana item can generally carry you safely past round 20 as it is. So I think this is a pretty unnecessary buff to Thundertrace. Razorclaw's Bear Summon is gaining 400 additional health at all-star rarities. I think this is a pretty significant increase to the amount of effective health on your board. It wasn't all that uncommon back when 6 Beast was a bit more popular to hit 2-star Razorclaw pretty early on in the game by using 2 Druid with an egg. And I think that kind of play could become a little bit more common again with this change and the Beast changes that I mentioned earlier. Red Fox Swordsman's skill cooldown is being lowered by 2 seconds at 1-star and 1 second at 2-star. I think Red Fox got a bit over-nerfed a few patches ago, so I think this is a pretty reasonable change, but it's coming alongside with a lot of other beast buffs, so we'll see how that pans out. Shadowcrawler's passive skill is gaining an additional 2% crit chance at 2-star and an additional 5% crit chance at 3-star. Shadowcrawler sees basically 0 play at the moment, so I think this is also a reasonable change. It makes her scale even more ridiculously with Mania at 3-star. The question is still kind of, how do you survive safely to get to that point, though? Dragon Knight's transformation skill is gaining an additional 25 attack damage at 2-star and 50 attack damage at 3-star. Dragon Knight was kind of a casualty of the nerfs that came alongside Sixagursis, and he doesn't really see a whole lot of play at the moment outside of being featured occasionally in Knights. So I think this previous patch has really kind of shown that Lightblade Knight, Fallen Witcher, and Shining Assassins are all very significant range threats. So I think reverting the nerf on Dragon Knight makes sense. I think there are probably different changes that should be made to kind of impact range carries across the board though. Next we've got the nerfs. 5 Glacial is losing 10% attack speed and 3 of the additional attack speed bonus stacks. This lowers the fully wound up 5 Glacier bonus attack speed from 170% to 136%. 5 Glacier is currently dominating the metagame at the moment, and it's boasting over a 40% pick rate according to the last meta report that Gerudo shared. I think this nerf's very much so needed, and should be a good change for the game. Desperate Doctor's skill cooldown is being increased by 2 seconds at all star rarities. Desperate Doctor is once again being nerfed. As a standalone unit, I think he's already pretty bad, but he somehow seems to always get nerfed when he's in the meta as a Grim combo piece. I think Defector is generally the better Grim combo piece in Glacier at the moment anyway, so I'm not really sure why this change was necessary. In general, I think the nerfs to Glacier are really good, but I'm a bit concerned that Pandas are being overbuffed and will be too consistent after the addition of Dualplot. I also think there's maybe some cool ideas to play around with incorporating 4 Beast and the buff Beast units into different builds. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a few different ideas for how to incorporate Pandas into some new builds maybe. My first idea was to play 4 Panda, 4 Beast, 3 Assassin, 3 Martialist. The idea here being that Panda provides the framework for the build, then you throw in Spacewalker and Red Fox just for the raw damage output, and then add in a cheap Druid front line with Unicorn and Razorclaw that also give you 4 Beast. You can eventually drop the 4 Beast down to 2 Beast, and then later in add on things like Phantom Queen and Shining Assassin in the late game to get 6 Assassin. Another idea that I had was a level 9 4 Panda, 3 Mage, 4 Shaman build. The idea here is to get mana on all of your units, including your Shaman transforms, very quickly using Source. This lets your Pandas ult fast and set up for your Dualplot ult rapidly. I think this should clear the opponent's team pretty quickly with all these ults going off in combination with the 3 Mage magic resistance debuff. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on these changes and what builds that you want to try out Pandas in. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later, gamers.